These are my 5 audiences. When you think of aviation, you think of airplanes, traveling, and Chuck Yeager. Charles Elwood Yeager, best known as Chuck Yeager, is the face of aviation. Yeager began in Virginia, where he grew up, with no interest in aviation at all. After he graduated high school, he joined the United States Army Air Force. He made his reputation in the military, breaking records and achieving medals and awards. Chuck Yeager is the face of aviation, a war hero, and without him, many of the developed airplanes we have today would be delayed. Chuck Yeager was born on February 13th, 1923. He worked on his father's gas drilling business in Hamlin, West Virginia. Stephen J. Ramold states in his article, Chuck Yeager, that like his father, Yeager was mechanically inclined and he developed the skill to repair and maintain complex machinery, an advantage that later served him well. Yeager later joined the military in 1941. Also in 1941, America just entered World War II. After learning that aviation was not really a factor in Yeager's life, we can now see how it affected him and how he fell in love with it in the military. He began as an airplane mechanic at a base in California. He applied for pilot school shortly after and graduated in 1943. After he graduated, he was assigned to the P-39 airplane, which was a very unsuccessful airplane. Later on, he was reassigned to the 363rd Fighter Squadron and flew the P-51 Mustang. His first combat mission was in 1944, and his 7th combat mission, he shot down his first plane. The next day was his 8th combat mission, and he was shot down in France. With help from the French resistance, the Marquis, he was able to escape German soldiers and met up with his American troops in England. Later, he spoke to General Dwight D. Eisenhower, who later became the 34th President of the United States of America. General Eisenhower later then let him come back and fight as a combat fighter for the rest of the war. And now that we've discovered how Chuck Yeager became a war hero during World War II, we can now start to see how Chuck Yeager truly redefined aviation. Bell Aircraft Corporation developed the X-1 plane to break the sound barrier in 1947. They were very delayed in this program, and so the Air Force and Chuck Yeager took over this program in 1947. Later that year, on October 14th, 1947, Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier, flying over 700 miles an hour. He was the first to break the sound barrier, and he was the first to fly past Mach 2. In October of 1953, he flew Mach 2.44, over 1,400 miles an hour. In Paul Baines interviewed Chuck Yeager, Yeager stated, "A lot of people look at it as records, but it is just normal milestones and achievements as you do normal work." Chuck Yeager has had an eventful and exciting life so far, and these are just some of the things that have made him the face of aviation. He did not even have an interest in aviation in his early life. When he joined the Air Force as an airplane mechanic, he quickly became a great combat pilot. After the war, he was a well-accomplished test pilot. When he turned 89, he broke the sound barrier again in 2012 in an F-15, which was also the 65th anniversary of the first time they broke the sound barrier. He still lives today and continues to actively fly. Done.